Welcome to day 46 of the BU 365-day challenge. Do one thing every day that improves us in some little way. We're doing something every single day in 2022 or this year, whenever you're listening to it. You can start and do the challenge whenever you want. This segment, we're focusing on our emotions, our emotional well-being. And so today we're going to talk about letting go strategies for the emotions and feelings that no longer serve us. Now, this is it's not really a tricky one, but it's a tricky one because we tend to, throughout our lifetime, have experiences, and we take those experiences and we, in our minds, turn them into and add meaning and emotions and feelings to them, which makes it easier to navigate life because we automatically have a playbook inside of us on how we respond to certain situations, certain stimuli. So, for example, I have a way that I respond to fear or scarcity or lack or worry or doubt. And my way of handling it is different than maybe your way of handling it. But each and every one of us need to at some time consider, is what I'm doing now in handling fear, because I adopted it when I was, 6 to 10 years old, is that still an appropriate way at 61 years old to respond to certain situations? Probably not. And in most cases, in my case, for sure, no. How I responded as a 6-year-old or a 10-year-old or even an 18 to 25-year-old is very different than how I respond to fear and how I define fear than it is now. So today I'm going to share 7 plus, probably 8 or so different activities. I want to call them exercises, but people don't like to hear exercises because it sounds like work. But activities that you can choose from to look at your current situation, your current feelings and emotions. And our action item today is going to be to pick one of those activities, do it or try it on for size, and then share the one emotion or feeling that you're committed to, maybe not eliminating from your life, but changing the way you respond to it automatically. And you can use the SOAP framework to do that. You can use all different strategies to do that. Tomorrow, I will share a very personal exercise I went through, and I will go through my letting go strategies. I did a video several years ago now of how to get rid of the belief, and it's a belief, but it's also a feeling and an emotion that permeates everything that we do, the not good enough, right? And not good enough might be a belief or a thought for mindset when we get to that segment. But for right now, I want to use it as a way to demonstrate some of the different letting go strategies that I personally use that I found really, really effective. But today, let's look at, I've got a list of some things, some activities I think that are very helpful that we often don't think about, because not only, and all the things that I'm going to say might come from different areas. They might be our feelings and beliefs about our physical possessions. Now, beliefs and feelings and emotions are all intimately tied together, right? Because feelings are the thoughts we have about the emotions and the things we're feeling in our body, or we're experiencing physically, or hearing or seeing, or our sixth sense. I don't know, I guess I call that feeling, or touching. So life changes all the time, right? Our lives change all the time. That's why I don't respond the same. I don't want to, sometimes I still do, respond to fear in the same way I did when I was 6 years old at 61. So people change, our lives change, our behavior, and things that we need to consider are that sometimes the way we responded in the past, it was perfect for the time in the way that we responded that way. But now that we know better, we can choose how we want to respond more often. Will we still fall into that pattern? Absolutely. I still do it. I catch myself, on a pretty regular basis falling into or discovering new instances of where I'm going back to a previous definition of something. And I just have to remind myself by using one of these activities or exercises that I have the power to decide and choose how I'm going to respond or react to everything. So our behavior, our physical surroundings, our possessions, our ownership, the people, our relationships, our roles, our groups, our connections, our beliefs, our fears, everything changes all the time, including us. And that means that we have to be willing to look at and let our emotions and feelings and reactions change and morph as we grow and become and improve as people. We want our emotional intelligence, our emotional responses, our feelings to change and morph and grow and become more of what we want and less of what we don't want over time. So what are some of these activities? Well, number one, we can think about the different life stages that we go through. You know, there's 4 or 5 main stages that we go through. There's, when we're first babies and childhood, and then there's adolescence, which is a challenge for all of us for the most part. Some people breeze through it, but I don't know very many people that have just breezed through adolescence with no challenges whatsoever. Early adulthood, settled adulthood, and then aging and death. Those are considered the 5 main categories and the 5 main stages of life. And different things happen in all of them. And we have different emotions and feelings associated with each of those different stages. So you could go back and you could think about different stages. And I like to pick one emotion or feeling at a time to work on when I'm doing any of these activities and asking myself some questions about it to say, do I even want to let go of this? Guess what? There are responses to certain stimuli that I absolutely positively choose to still have, even though I developed them when I was really, really young. And because they serve me, they increase my resilience, they make me feel stronger and more personally powerful. So I choose to have those same responses, even though, but I came upon that decision consciously by choosing it, not just ad hoc, what I've always done before, I just keep doing. I mean, one of my most dreaded phrases in corporate America was always, well, that's the way we've always done it. Okay, well, just because you did it 25 years ago doesn't mean things haven't changed and there isn't a better way of doing it today. So think about the different life stages, and that'll help you identify an emotion or a feeling that you may want to let go of. Secondly, write letters to significant people in your past. Now, a lot of our feelings and emotions are tied to relationships and things that we've had with other people. And maybe you've got some unresolved issues or feelings about someone from your past that is still challenging you and bothering you in some way, shape, or form today and impacting your life. Write a letter to those people or that person. Now, just because I say write a letter doesn't mean you have to mail it. I mean, I could write a letter to my ex-husband telling him what I really think about some things, but I would never, ever mail it because there would be no point in mailing it, right? And I know that. With some people, it's about you letting go of it and forgiving yourself. It doesn't matter what the other person does or thinks or feels about the situation. I say if you're sending letters to people you love and appreciate, even if they're from a long time ago, go ahead and send them, because people always love to know that you had an impact on their life. The negative ones, maybe just, burn those or something. Thirdly, compare your desires and duty. Now, this was a biggie for me because in the past, 10, 20 years ago, I did everything I thought I should do, right? My duty, or all the shoulds I should do in the world, not necessarily what was good for me or what I wanted to do. So that's a good one to look at. Compare your wants to the things that you think you should do. And guess what? Some of the things that we think we want, we don't even want. Those desires belong to our parents or our grandparents or our kids or someone else, and we don't even want those things anymore. Number 4 activity, write out your internal monologue. Now, this is a good and powerful exercise too, but you might be surprised at what comes up. It's amazing the things that we say to us in our head silently that we would never say to another human soul on the planet. They're so negative and horrible. I don't know if you have that kind of voice, but I have that kind of voice that sneaks up and niggles at me sometimes, depending on what's going on, and especially around feelings and emotional topics. I tend to beat myself up a lot about those things. So if you write out the internal monologue, some of the things that you're saying to yourself in your head, once you put that on paper and read that, you're like, oh my God, why would I ever talk to myself this way? I would never talk to my kids that way. I would never talk to anyone I know that's alive that way, even my worst enemy. So why would I ever talk to myself? It's a really good way for letting go of a lot of that negative, nagging voice. Number 5, take inventory of the different things in your life, physical possessions, beliefs, your values, your obligations, your habits, your hobbies, your goals, your relationships, your connections, your commitments. I guess I've got goals twice. And then make a decision or just pretend that you have to eliminate 30% of that. So let's just use this and take an emotional and feelings inventory. And let's say we have to eliminate, and maybe you just write down in one day the different emotions. Do a little emotion log and write down the different emotions you feel during the day. See which ones you feel the most often, and any negative ones that you feel the most often, pick 30% of those to eliminate. Now we're just going to pick one for today, right? And share just one. 6, choose not to be successful at anything that you don't love. This is a good one too for me, because I learned that I might be good at a business, but if I don't, and this is a business work-related example, or a job, but if I don't love it, I need to move into a different thing that I do love and not do that thing anymore. I've learned that lesson both in corporate America as well as in some of the different businesses that I've been involved in over the decades. Sometimes I got involved in a business because it looked really awesome at the beginning, love at first sight, and then as I dug into it and learned about what was really required to be successful in that business, I didn't love it anymore, and I could farm out some of it, but there was something about the business that didn't resonate or feel right for me, and so I would end up getting out of those businesses. Once I let go of the idea that I had to build this business, right? And then kind of as a bonus one, number 7, get the weeds out of your garden, meaning the low-hanging fruit, the stuff that you don't need to do anymore or worry about or think about anymore, just stop doing that. Do you really need to vacuum your living room every single day? And then there's a whole book on, do you need to make your bed every day? I personally like making my bed every morning, but some people think that you can have freedom by not making your bed every day. So just like anything else, there's two sides to every coin. One way works for some people, the other way works for other people, and there's infinite possibilities in between that work for everybody else. And then as a bonus one, think about what you enjoy versus value. Think of the enjoyment value of something and the emotional value of something versus the physical value of it. This one comes into play a lot with respect to our jobs, our occupations, our education, our money, even our relationships. What do I value in things that make me feel good? And what's the value of those things? And how do I value and define the value versus how much do I enjoy? How much enjoyment, happiness, fulfillment does something give me? And that's a good way to identify things that we can just let go of. There's so many things. I used to value collecting and having a lot of stuff around me. Obviously, I still like to have a lot of stuff around me, but I had a huge value on it. So a couple years ago when I was moving, I made a commitment to myself that I was going to eliminate 90% of my physical possessions, whatever they were. And the truth is, I eliminated 90% of all of my possessions, maybe even probably a little more. And I still have way too much stuff. Even 10% of what I had a couple years ago is still way too much stuff, physical stuff. So that's one I continue to work on, right? But that's more physical than it is emotional. So what is an emotion that we could eliminate 90% of and not even miss it? There's several that have come to my mind. Worry, doubt, fear, uncertainty, not feeling good enough, that whole list of, being a victim, making excuses. There's so many things that we do on a regular basis that we could just let go of, and they would make our life so much better, and they're not really that hard to let go of. So, action item again today, pick one of these activities, just any one, and just, attempt it, and whatever you need. Maybe you already know, hey, this is the emotion that I know I'm going to let go of 90% of the way. And some things we should let go of 100%, right? I think of things like jealousy, comparing ourselves to others. We could let go of that 100% and we would be just fine. Now, chances are we'll only let go of 90% of it because there's a little bit of it that feeds our ego somehow. So that's it. Pick the emotion, share the one emotion or feeling that you're going to work on and that you're committed to altering and letting go of. And I will be with you tomorrow, and I will share my letting go strategies for not good enough or feeling unworthy, not good enough, imposter syndrome, whatever they call it. That's what we'll talk about tomorrow, letting go strategies, and some of the fun letting go strategies I use, because I found that the more fun and the more outrageous the technique I used to get rid of something was, the more it stuck, the more effective it was. All right, any questions, hit me up. Otherwise, I will be with you tomorrow for day 47 of our 365-day challenge. Have an awesome day. Be with you tomorrow.